what's up YouTube? It's your boy Matsu here, bringing you my Prism deck profile. Haha, just kidding, we aren't playing that character, we're playing the star of the show. So, I recently piloted Bravo, star of the show, to a top 8 finish at a Pro Quest. Shout out to the Geekery out in Kansas City for hosting a wonderful event. It was very smooth, very seamless. We had roughly 50 people at the event, and yeah. So today I'm going to talk about why I'm playing Bravo, star of the show, what my ratios look like, so on and so forth, why I'm playing certain cards. So we're going to start with what I would call the most important thing, aside from this beautiful cold foil prism that I also won at the event, which is very pretty. If anyone wants to buy it, let me know. I'm looking for buyers. So first, I guess we'll start off with Bravo. So Bravo says, essence of Earth, Ice, and Lightning, which means you may have Earth, Ice, and Lightning cards in your deck. And then at the start of your turn, you may reveal an Earth, an Ice, and a Lightning card from your hand. If you do, the next attack action card with cost 3 or greater you play this turn gains +2 base damage, dominate, and go again. So this character is actually insane. He has very obvious synergies with a lot of old Bravo's attacks. He also has very good synergy with Oldham's Majestic, Oakenold. That card is insane in this character. Yeah, we'll start with the equipment. So, this configuration of equipment is what you're going to be playing almost every single game. So, the most important equipment in your deck is by far Crown of Seeds. There is actually a simulator that you can use to test how consistently your specific deck list will get Bravo's ability off. So this deck, last we checked in testing, it was roughly a 50% chance on any given turn to use Bravo's ability, which obviously that's nuts. Having a 50% chance to just give your attack +2 damage, go again, and dominate is insane. Crown of Seeds basically just gives us more consistency with getting Bravo's ability off. So Crown of Seeds is a once per turn instant, pay a resource, put a face down card from your arsenal on the bottom of your deck, draw a card, and prevent the next 1 damage that would be dealt to your hero this turn. So this card is really good defensively. It helps us fix our hand. Yeah, this card just does so much for this deck. Literally goated, for sure. I would not play anything else in this slot. I think playing anything else in this slot is crazy. And then Fiendl's Spring Tunic. For those that don't know what Spring Tunic does, it says at the start of your turn, if it has less than 3 energy counters, you may put an energy counter on it, and then instant, remove 3 energy counters from Fiendl's Spring Tunic, gain 1 resource. And then Blade Break, if you defend with Fiendl's Spring Tunic, destroy it when the combat chain closes. So, this card is a really good synergy with Crown of Seeds, because on the turn that we have 3 Tunic counters, we can use Tunic to pay for Crown of Seeds, and then we just have a 5-card hand. So we're basically, like, guaranteed to Bravo on a turn where we do Tunic and a Crown of Seeds, which is a very powerful interaction. We play Crater Fist. Crater Fist is... Honestly, this card is just it blocks for 2, and it has temper. So, it also randomly says, action, pay 3 resources, destroy Crater Fist, your attacks with Crush gain +2 damage this turn, and then go again. This deck does play Crush attacks, so they can come up, but usually we are just blocking with this card to get the extra 3 HP out of blocking with it twice, because after it blocks twice, it destroys itself due to the temper ability, which says if you defend with Crater Fist, put a -1 counter on it when the combat chain closes, then destroy it if it has 0. And then we play Ironhide Legs. Ironhide Legs say when you defend with Ironhide Legs, you may pay a resource. If you do, it gains +2 defense and destroy it when the combat chain closes. So, honestly, these two cards are really just for the Bravo Mirror match, just so you can stop the important on-hits, because a lot of the time, they're Oaken-Old, their Spinal Crushes, if they play them, their Crippling Crushes will have Dominate, so being able to just block with your equipment and soak up a bunch of damage so you don't get crushed is very important in this format, I feel. So that's why we're on this armor configuration. And then for our offhand equipment, we chose Rampart over Stalagmite. One thing that I would change about my list going forward is I would definitely at least play Stalagmite in the sideboard, because I actually think that Stalagmite is, for the most part, better into the Starvo Mirror, but Rampart is better, for the most part, against, like, everything else, I want to say. It's better against Prism, it's better against Chain, it's better against most Runeblade decks because they play a bunch of things to close the combat chain, so we get to reuse our Ramparts of Ram's Head and get a bunch of extra blocks. For those that don't know, it says, whenever you defend with Rampart of the Ram's Head, you may pay a resource. If you do, it gains +1 defense until end of turn. So, you just block with this, pay your resource. Your typical turn is like, you'll Crown of Seeds by pitching a blue, and then you'll have 1 floating, and you'll just block with this, pay the 1, you'll still have 1 floating, take 1, and then if they close the combat chain, you get to reuse this again, and it'll have +2 if you choose to pay. So it just blocks a bunch of damage, keeps you healthy, which is very important in this deck. And then our weapon is Winter's Wail. If you're playing Oldhim or Bravo, Star of the Show, you're playing Winter's Wail. There's no reason to play any of the other hammers. So Winter's Wail says, pay 3 resources, once per turn action, attack. If an ice card is pitched this way, Winter's Wail gains, if this hits a hero, create a Frostbite token under their control. So for those that don't know what a Frostbite token is, Frostbites say the next action or activated ability your opponent can plays costs 1 more to pay for. So basically it just says their next attack, or like if they were to use one of their equipments, like their Grasp of the Arknights, it costs 1 more, and then after they do that, it pops the Frostbite token. So it just taxes your opponent, basically. So it's like really good on a turn where you use Bravo to fuse for 3 and then come in with like a Crippling Crush or fused Oaken-Old, and then you can just swing with the hammer afterwards and be like, oh, well, you blocked out against my first attack and used all your stuff, and then I'll hit you for 4 and you'll get a Frostbite. So now not only are you sitting on like 1 hand, you have a Frostbite, so it's even harder for you to play the game. When this deck high rolls, it definitely has, what I would want to say, like one of the highest ceilings of like damage output, just from like 1 attack. I'm actually gonna go into the sideboard and some of the decks we were playing first before I get into the main deck. We were playing 2 Exposed to the Elements. So this card is pretty alright. It has Earth and or Ice Fusion. It's an elemental instant. If Exposed to the Elements was fused with an Earth card, you put a -1 counter on target equipment. And then if it was fused with an Ice card, you destroy an equipment with 0 defense controlled by target hero unless they pay 2 resources. So this card is pretty alright against specifically the Starvo Mirror. It's pretty alright against Oldhim. just because it pops his Crown of Seeds, which popping Crown of Seeds against either Oldhim or Starvo, very, very good. It's also good against the OTK Runeblade deck, so if they go to block with their Bloodsheath Skeleton, and they put a temper counter on it, before the combat chain closes, you can use Exposed to the Elements for just the Earth Fuse, and give it a -1 counter, so because of temper, it'll break when the combat chain closes, since it has 0 defense, which is really cool. It's also good against Prism because it pops Vestiges, unless they pay 2, which it's basically just like another attack if they pay the 2, so... we play 3 red Sink Belows. So Sink Below is just, if we know we're playing against a fast deck that tries to go, like, somewhat tall, not like, think like Ninja. So, like, Ninja has some attacks that, like, get pretty big, so this is where you would bring the Sink Belows in. It's also, like, okay against Starvo, just because it's cheap, it fixes your hand for Starvo's ability, so you get more consistent fuses. Just an all-around pretty good card. We played another suite of 6 defense reactions. These came in specifically against the Guardian Mirrors, so Oldhim and Starvo. Turn Timber is a 2 resource cost red defense reaction that says Earth Fusion. As an additional cost to play Turn Timber, you may reveal an Earth card from your hand, and then if it was fused, it gets +2 defense. So it's a base pay 2 for 8 defense, which is really good. Really good when your opponent's playing like a Crippling Crush and they're just like, okay, I guess I'll use a card out of my hand to crown, and then I'll just turn Timber fused, and I'll take 2. Your Crippling Crush didn't do anything, which is sweet. Or like against Oakenold, you'll block, or you'll crown, block, and then give them one of your armor pieces for 2. So it's like, okay, I block for 11, cool. I won't discard 2 cards from my hand, thank you. And then Staunch Response is basically the same concept. Staunch Response is a 2-cost red attack reaction that says, as an additional cost to play Staunch Response, you may pay 4 resources. If you do, it gains +3 defense. The pay 4 mode never actually came up in any of my games at the Pro Quest, but it does come up occasionally against Starvo if you need to, like, really block an attack and you, like, have no way to because they have Dominate and you have, like, all your armor broken or something. Excuse me. So yeah. Those come in. And then our 3rd copy of Crush Confidence, a Heart of Ice, and a No Rain Boots. So Heart of Ice, the only thing you really bring in Heart of Ice against, if you're going to bring it in at all, is against Prism, because it stops Prism from playing their defense reactions, or it makes it harder for them to play their defense reactions during your turn if you're trying to, like, blow them out or have a big turn. And something you do have to be aware of, though, with Heart of Ice against Prism is if you activate Heart of Ice, it gives them a window to Arclight Sentinel you, which, if you don't know what Arclight Sentinel is, it's pay 6 for an instant speed aura that says Spectra, and your opponent must attack this if able, and after they do, you close the combat chain. So, that card is really annoying for this deck, because if we, like, fuse, and we're going in to have a big turn, and we try to Heart of Ice and they Arclight us, they just skipped our turn, which is, like, insane, because if they have any amount of auras they can attack with, that's just free damage for them. Like, they actually time walked us, which is very good. So, Heart of Ice says once per turn action, pay 1 resource, cards and activated abilities each cost opposing heroes an additional 1 resource this turn. Go again. And then it has Arcane Barrier for 1, so if your hero would be dealt arcane damage, you may pay a resource instead. If you do prevent 1 arcane damage, that source would deal. And then it has Blade Break, so if you defend with it, you destroy it when the combat chain closes. Null Rune Boots, pretty self-explanatory. You bring this in against Rune Blade, you bring it in occasionally. You don't bring it in against Prism, because if you're going to bring in Arcane Barrier for Prism for the aura that pings you for 1 Arcane when an aura dies, you just bring in Heart of Ice because it has Arcane Barrier. And then Crush Confidence, because we didn't want to mess up our numbers too much on the main board by playing a bunch of things that are not elemental, so like not Earth, Ice, or Lightning. So we sided the third. Honestly, the sideboard is kind of whatever. Like, this is definitely not the most optimal sideboard, but I think the main board is for the most part pretty optimal. But yeah, this card is very good. It stops Starvo from activating, so they always have to give you 2 cards, or they have to give you a card and an armor piece, or they have to give you a card and their Crown of Seeds on this. So, like, they have to give you, like, 2 cards, basically. Whether it be armor, or 2 cards from hand, or whatnot. It's the same concept against any hero-reliant deck, which, as it turns out, in a game where your hero does a lot for you, it's pretty important that you have them. So having a card that just says your hero is blank, pretty good. Let's get into the main deck. We're going to start on the reds and work our way up. We play 3 copies of Breakground. Breakground is just a 3 resource, 7 damage attack, blocks for 2, that says when you attack with Breakground, you may put a card from your arsenal on the bottom of your deck. If you do, draw a card. This is just an Earth attack for Starvo, and it's randomly 3 costs, so it becomes a 9 with Dominate and Go Again if we use Starvo's effect, which is pretty good. On to the next card, honestly, the MVP of the deck. And if this is not the MVP of the deck, there is Awakening and Pulverizer. Like, those cards are the MVP of this deck, for sure. So Oakenold is a 3 cost, 7 damage, blocks for 3, Earth and Ice Fusion, Elemental Guardian action attack, that says, if Oakenold was fused, it gains +2 damage, Dominate, and if this hits a hero, they put 2 random cards from their hand on the bottom of their deck in any order. So this, on a Starvo turn, when it's fused, which obviously it's going to be fused because you revealed an Ice and an Earth card for Starvo, so as long as your Lightning card is a blue pitch, which all of our Lightning cards are, we just get to play this, and it's for 11 with Dominate and Go Again, and if it hits them, then they put 2 cards from their hand on the bottom of their deck randomly. So, like, this card is just actually insane. If you high roll with this deck and you draw, like, multiple of these with multiple Starvo fusions, it's almost impossible for you to actually lose the game. As long as you're, like, playing it somewhat optimally. We play all 9 copies of Autumn Touch, so we play 3 red, 3 blue, 3 yellow, which, it goes 5, 6, 7 from blue to red, blocks for 3 on all of them, and costs 3. It's just, an Earth attack that randomly gets Dominate and Go Again if we Starvo. Important for fusions, so on and so forth. You get the drill. We play 2 Spinal Crush. Spinal Crush is a 9 attack, 3 defense, 5 cost crush attack that says, if Spinal Crush deals 4 or more damage to a hero, action cards, activated abilities, and attacks they control lose and can't gain Go Again during their next action phase. So this card basically says, unless your opponent has a way to gain specifically action points, because they cannot gain Go Again due to the card's effect, but unless they have a way to specifically gain action points, then they just get to play one card during their next turn, which is insane. And this being like an 11 damage dominate move with Go Again when you Starvo it, just actually goes crazy. This card's really good in the mirror too. I played against a few Starvo players. I didn't actually see any of them playing this. This card just kind of like hoses the mirror if you draw it like even remotely early into the game, because it says they have to give you most of their hand, or their hero, like their turn is just so much worse, because usually, let me give a quick example hand. Let's say you have the full fuse with Starvo, and you come in with a Crippling Crush or Spinal Crush or something along those lines. Usually what you end up doing is, after you use your attack and you're done resolving your attack, is you pitch a blue ice card to pay for your Winter's Wail Hammer, and then you pressure them with the on hit from that. So they're already down bad from taking damage from either a Crippling Crush, an Oakenhold, a Spinal Crush, any of those kind of cards. But now they also have to deal with your hammer since your attack had Go Again. So stopping them from having Go Again while you have Go Again is very good. We played 2 Crippling Crush. We were playing this card at 3, but this card just bricks at 3. It's way too expensive, and we would rather just search it off of Awakening, or we'd rather draw it when we can actually like play it. And obviously if we're playing 3, we're more likely to brick on them and draw them when we cannot play them, because having 2 of this card in our hand just is actually awful and does nothing, because we can like barely play one of them. Like, we have to pitch our entire hand if we have 2 blues, or if we have Tunic, we pitch 2 cards and then use our Tunic. That's still not amazing. But this card, when it does do things, it overperforms. So at best, it is a 13 damage dominate move with Go Again that says if it deals 4 or more damage to a hero, they discard 2 random cards. It deals 11, blocks for 3, costs 7. Good card. Just mega brick if you draw multiples. This card is not as much of a brick when you draw multiples just because it has Heave, but this is Pulverize. This is honestly one of the MVP attacks in this deck. This card single-handedly gives you a catch-up mechanic if you get behind in any of your matchups, because basically what you do is, real quick, I'm actually going to skip a few steps here. You Awakening, Fuse an Earth card when you're behind, and so what Awakening says is pay 2 for an Elemental Guardian instant. It pitches for 3, and then it has Earth Fusion, so you can reveal an Earth card in your hand as an additional cost to play it. And then if you have less health than an opposing hero, you create Seismic Surge tokens equal to the difference. And then if it was fused, you create twice that many Seismic Surge tokens instead. And then you search your deck for a Guardian attack action card that costs less than or equal to the number of Seismic Surge tokens you control. Reveal it, put it into your hand, and then shuffle your deck. So this card, when we are behind 5 life, goes and grabs us a 14 damage move and lets us play it for free during our next turn. So, yeah. Which is insane. And, like, if we can Starvo to fuse on this, this is a 16 damage dominate Go Again move that says when it hits a hero, their first attack during their next turn has -4 damage. So, not only, if your opponent gives you their entire hand, let's say they have all 3s in their hand, they block for 12, they can't even block for 12 because it has dominate. But if they block for 12, let's say it doesn't have dominate, they take 2, and now their next attack has -4, but, like, obviously they're not attacking anyways. They pitch their entire hand. So, like, they had to skip a turn to block your 14 damage move, and now you just get to, like, destroy them on your next turn after you draw back up, so. And then, It has Heave for 3, so at the beginning of your end phase, if it is in your hand and you have an empty arsenal zone, you may pay 3 resources and put it face up into your arsenal. If you do, create 3 Seismic Surge tokens. It's a 14 damage move that blocks for 3, costs 10, and pitches for red. We played 2 Crush Confidence. Normally, our main board configuration was just 2 of these. We brought in the 3rd one against the Starvo mirror because it's really fucking good against Starvo, as I was saying. We kept him out against Prism because it's not very good against Prism, because she can just use her hero effect before the damage resolves to get the shield if she wants to, or if she needs to. We played 1 of each of the pulses. So this is Pulse of Volthaven. It is a Lightning Ice instant. It pitches for 1, costs 0, is legendary, so you can only have 1 Pulse of Volthaven in your deck, and then your next Lightning, Ice, or Elemental attack this turn gets plus 4 damage. Very good. Most of the time that card is just used for us to fuse because it has 2 types that we need. So it's Lightning Ice, which means we just need to find an Earth card. The amount of elements in this deck ranges. So we play the most Ice cards, followed by Earth cards, and then we play less Lightning cards than both of the other ones. So it's pretty important to see Lightning, which means this having Lightning is very good for us. 1 copy of Evergreen. This is just another Earth attack target for Starvo. Yeah, that's pretty self-explanatory. It says, if it's played from Arsenal, you put it on the bottom of your deck when the combat chain closes. Hits for 7, blocks for 2, costs 3, is red. We only play 4 yellows in the entire deck because this deck really needs the blues to pay cost for stuff because all of our stuff is expensive. And then it needs the reds for damage, so our damage output is not piddly and tragic, to say the least. We play 3 yellow Autumn's Touches. Like I said, we just play the full package of these. It's a vanilla attack that Starvo touches with his ability and is an Earth card. Second Pulse, Pulse of Candlehold. This is an Earth Lightning action. Blocks for 3, pitches for 2, costs 0, and then it's legendary, so you can only have 1 Pulse of Candlehold in your deck, and then put up to 2 target Earth, Lightning, and or Elemental action cards from your graveyard on top of your deck. Banish the Pulse of Candlehold. So, this card, we rarely ever actually play this card. Like I said, is mostly just for the fusion because it is Earth Lightning, so we just need to find an Ice card, which is the second most played archetype of card in our deck. This is our other 3 copies of Breakground. We play the reds and the blues. So this is for 7 Dominate Go Again with Starvo, and then obviously when we attack with it, we can put a card from our arsenal on the bottom of our deck and draw a card. We play 3 Blizzard. This is, honestly, it's just an Ice card. The effect comes up sometimes, but it rarely ever actually does. So there will be times where, like, you're playing the Starvo mirror and your opponent will, like, go in with a small go again move that doesn't, like they'll Starvo for something that doesn't, like, pressure your hand at all. So, like, the Breakgrounds or, the Breakgrounds are the nature, attack. Where is it? Autumn's Touch, like those cards. So that's when you'd be like, okay, all Blizzard, so you can pay 2, or this loses Go Again, and you don't get to attack with your hammer because now you've pitched an extra card from your hand. So you have to choose between attacking with your hammer or arsenaling to get the extra card in your arsenal in order to use your Crown of Seeds. 3 Blue Lightning Surges. I did not play this card a single time. You don't play this card because to play it. You play this card because it's a lightning card to fuse with. There's a consideration to be made for Electrify. That card says when it's played from Arsenal, you draw a card, and then the next time your elemental attack deals damage, it deals 1 damage. So it's pretty good with Oaken if you draw the cards for it, but like it's a perfect, like you need a perfect setup, and it kind of actively discourages you from using your Crown of Seeds because you just draw a card when you play it from Arsenal anyways. So yeah. 3 Winter's Grasp. Yet again, this is just a vanilla ice card. This one doesn't even get hit by Starvo, but it is an attack. It blocks for 3, hits for 4, costs 2, pitches for 3. Just an ice target. We play 3 Winter's Bite. This card's really, really good. It costs 0, blocks for 2, pitches for 3, ice action. Target hero discards a card unless they pay a resource, and then it has go again. So this is really good if you like have on the turns where you have an extra card in hand because you like tunicked into Crown, and then you just have like an extra card, so you'll be like, okay, all Winners Bite you to make you discard an extra card, unless they already have stuff floating, in which case you wouldn't play this card if they already have resources floating. It's a bad play, because they can just pay for it, but yeah. Last of the Autumn's Touches, yet again, just an Earth attack, gets hit by Bravo, so it's a 7 with Dominate, go again. We already talked about Awakening, but we play 3 Awakening. This card tutors all of the good attacks in our deck that we're not just playing to fuse them. So I say good. So yeah, the best thing that this can do is this is a catch-up mechanic with Pulverize. So if you ever get behind, you just use this, search Pulverize, and you're like, okay, I'm behind by like 5 life. Well, hold this 14 damage attack that says if it deals damage to you, your next one gets -4. So that's a massive life swing. Just an absolutely massive life swing to have to deal with for your opponent. Actually an insane card. 3 blank. This card rarely ever actually came up. It's pretty good against Prism because it lets you deal with their Spectras. So you'll just be like, okay, I'll attack your aura, and then we'll just blink to gain an extra action point so we can kill another aura. And then obviously it's a lightning card, so we can use it to fuse for Bravo, and it pitches for 3. Triple Frostfang. Honestly, I would like to play the reds of these in this deck because this card doesn't actually like really do anything at blue. But it costs 2, hits for 3, blocks for 2, pitches for 3, and then it says if Frostfang hits a hero, they discard a card unless they pay 2. So this card is never actually hitting someone. There's just way too much armor that blocks in the game, way too many like decent 3 blocks. This card's never actually hitting someone, and you rarely ever actually play it because of the fact that it doesn't like actually hit anyone. And it's not affected by Starvo because it doesn't cost 3 or more. So yeah, I thought about playing the red ones just because they are 5 damage, so your opponent actually has to give you a card and a piece of armor, or 2 cards, so on and so forth. 3 flash. This is kind of the same concept as the blinks. It says the next attack action card you play this turn with cost 2 or greater gains go again. This came up like once the entire tournament, the actual effect, but it is a lightning fuse, so blocks for 2, costs 0, pitches for 3. 3 channel like Frigid. This card is insane. This card single-handedly can shut down your opponent from playing the game on its own, especially if you have either multiples or you have it out for multiple turns. It just taxes your opponent's resources so hard that they just like basically don't get a play. And like you're sitting over here playing the game normally, and they're sitting over there playing the game on Dark Souls difficulty. Like that's actually what this card does. So it costs 2, is an ice action aura. It has go again. Cards and activated abilities cost opposing heroes an additional 1, and then channel ice which is at the beginning of your end phase, put a flow counter on channel like Frigid, then destroy it unless you put an ice card from your pitch zone on the bottom of your deck for each flow counter on it. So basically, pitch ice card to play it, bottom deck ice card. Or pitch 3 cost to play it, pitch ice card to swing with hammer, and then put the card back on bottom with the channel. 3 Heaven's Claws, just another lightning card that we can use to fuse with Bravo. It blocks for 3, hits for 3, costs 1, pitches for 3. Other than that, it's vanilla. And then, last card, we play 1 Pulse of Eisenloft. In my opinion, this is the best Pulse in the deck, like, effect-wise. In terms of fusing, the best Pulse in the deck is Candlehold because it gives you Earth and Lightning, which you play less Earth and Lightning cards than you do Ice cards. So it's a little bit easier to see the Ice cards. But Pulse of Eisenloft, pitches for 3, blocks for 6, costs 2. It's an Ice Earth defense reaction. Legendary, you may only have 1 Pulse of Eisenloft in your deck. And then Ice, Earth, and Elemental action cards have +1 defense while defending this turn, which is really good because it lets you defend Crippling Crushes and all that kind of scary big stuff with like 2 to 3 cards, which is very good. But yeah, so that was my top 8 Bravo Star of the Show, aka Starvo deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed. And if you want to see more content like this, let me know. I'll try to get more decks put together, try to travel to more events, get you guys some more content. Check out all of my socials, all the links in the description, my Patreon, yada yada yada. Thank you all for watching. Sayonara. What is up, Matsu Nation? Thank you for watching till the end of the video. If you enjoyed, like, comment, and subscribe. And check out all my socials and my Patreon. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and sayonara.